In my opinion, I believe the idea of the left-translated cycle for this bull market is still well and truly on. It's a very unpopular notion right now, which is why I urge you to hear out my reasoning as to why I think this, as it's because of this sluggish sentiment that has me personally on my toes, getting ready for what could be a face-ripping rally quite soon here. As always, make sure you're subscribed, because I suspect it'll be hard not to do that after you see everything it is we'll be talking about today. And also make sure you're signed up for the Fair Desk crypto exchange with the link in description. It's one of the few exchanges left where you can trade like a pro without the need to KYC or use a VPN. Meaning, yes, no matter where you're from, even the US, Canada, the UK, you can still sign up and use the exchange. Plus, they have the lowest trading fees in the industry, where with my link you'll get even further fee discounts and up to 100k in bonuses. Now, going back to the left-translated cycle, here's my point of view. In March of this year, when we broke the all-time highs the way we did, the idea of a left-translated cycle started getting popular. And to catch those up who may be unaware, when we say left-translated cycle, we're alluding to the top of a cycle coming in prior to its midway point. You'll get better sense of this in a second when we start going through the charts and data, but for now just know we'll probably confirm an LT cycle if we top during or before November of this year. And so with that being said, given the distance in terms of the time component between March and November, and how Bitcoin was already at 70,000 at that time, it's understandable as to why many thought we'd peak much earlier than we typically do, where I too was one of them thinking the same thing. The difference is, however, I've not once capitulated on this idea of completing an LT cycle, whereas many others have. At the same time, I should also make it clear that I do not care when we top, whether it's left, mid, right translated, who cares? Like all of you, I just want to sell my coins at the top regardless of when that is. I hope this clarifies my bias, which is the fact that there is none, and yet still I'm going out of my way to make this video and emphasize my belief in a left-translated cycle. I believe that if you back in March were calling for a left-translated cycle, and now you no longer think that's the case due to some chop, then it just goes to show your understanding of basic cycle theory is weak and you in all likelihood really don't know what you're talking about. And don't be offended, I'm not referencing you in specific, more so these influencers with large followings who are switching their ideas too readily. For instance, I saw this tweet by Miles Deutscher the other day, who said we won't peak this Q4, citing his reason is recent price action. But my question to him and many others is, what did price action do to make you change your thoughts? Is it the fact that we didn't break into aggressive price discovery? But at that point there is no debate, as the LT's already been confirmed. But for me, in this range where the debate of a left versus right translated cycle exists, I opt for a left translated cycle. Here's my reasons why. So the first reason is, according to very basic cycle theory, the pattern is usually 3 right translated cycles followed by 1 left translated cycle. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the 1, 5, 15-minute time frames, or in this case the weekly chart applied to the history of Bitcoin. Remember, a cycle is one bottom to the next, and as you can see, the past 3 cycles of Bitcoin have all been right translated. In other words, all the tops came in on the right side of the midpoint. And so in the case of this cycle, when we say left translated, we're suggesting the top will come in on the left side of the middle, which would be around November, assuming this cycle again from bottom to bottom pans out for about 200 weeks, give or take. Again, the pattern usually goes RT, 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 then LT. And on top of all this, the break of all-time highs as soon as we got it never happened this early in the past 2 cycles. That was actually the moment that gave me the bias of LT. If you've been an Advent viewer, I mentioned before how this break of highs is being shrugged off like it's nothing, and how in hindsight it'll seem how obvious it was in breaking market structure. And here's perhaps the biggest reason, which is price action. That's right, the thing that's made many capitulate on the idea of the left-translated cycle has actually given me more conviction. If Bitcoin during that March run-up continued to new highs, like I said, that'd constitute a left-translated cycle. However, that scenario would have been quite annoying and unhealthy. Although I was prepared for it, I'm glad it didn't play out, as we probably would have topped at 100k and broken down from there, where the cycle would have likely been over and seemed pathetic in retrospect. You see, with left-translated cycles, there's usually 3 angles it pursues, and thus far the first 2 angles have been clearly obliged, where we're slowly approaching another test of the second angle, waiting for what's usually the last and final third angle, where that third angle, by the way, is the most aggressive of them all, where price moves the quickest and most in terms of USD value. So to me, the idea of having this third and final angle come in and complete before November is more than possible. It's why I stated last video this recent weekly low is the most important we probably made since the bear market low, where this low is the final low before that third wave, or this low doesn't hold. And instead we roll over and get continuous closes under this second trend line, which to me would finally put the left translated cycle idea to bed. However, that has not happened. The trend is still intact. Couple that with sentiment where I think the majority of people are concretely saying we won't top this year. To me it's the perfect recipe for that blow off top. And one more time, I don't want this, as again I don't care. So before you comment coming at me because I said we can still top these next couple months, take a moment to see where I'm coming from. Most of you, however, are mature and understand I'm just trying to prepare you all for certain scenarios that can play out. I'd say we have about 20 weeks for that top to set in. Obviously not a long time at all, but a lot can happen in 20 weeks. Last cycle in 18 weeks we went up 400%. In 2017 Bitcoin went up 1000% in 22 weeks. Is it so unreasonable to think Bitcoin can't go up 100% to 120,000 in 20 weeks or less? I don't think so at all. Which is why I decided I would not be caught off guard by such price action if it does occur, instead of letting my feelings and emotions dictate how I hope the chart plays out. I also think altcoins do extremely well. I believe the reason so many are giving up on crypto is actually because of this aggressive move up. Many are noting how sentiment is as bad as the bear market, but it does make sense. In the bear, although many were in pain, others were also hopeful on the prospect of buying altcoin lows and selling them for 10, 20, 50 X's at the top. What this aggressive run-up has done is given us a little taste of that, where portfolios shot up 5x plus. But now they've corrected as much as 50% or more, leaving a sour taste as it's almost like we've been pump faked. I will say though that if you think sentiment is bad now, can you imagine what it will be if we do get an LT cycle and blow off top? As at that point I still don't think many will sell, meaning it'll probably end how it is right now with a lot of unrest within the community. Except at that time there won't be me saying leave another leg on the way. It will probably be well and truly over. When that does occur, I think we'll see CT in the most despair it's ever been after that final leg is put in. Many hypotheticals here, but if that does occur I would probably suggest stepping away from crypto for a bit, as I too will be doing that. But until then we wait. Some other little tidbits are huge bullish divergence on the weekly between the January low of 40,000 and now. Bollinger Bands finally squeezing for the first time since last year during that July to October time period. We're getting a parabolic Japanese yield curve, which probably means UST bill dumps, which means the US yield curve goes ballistic where they incite their own form of YCC, meaning risk assets up. M2 money supply breaking out, finally getting Bitcoin miner capitulation, a strong feat we expect after every halving, reaching the same levels as Bitcoin at its low of 16,000. TLDR Bitcoin and crypto are going up. This we know, which is why I'll say again like last video, do not capitulate. In terms of timing, I don't know, it could be August or next year August, but like I tweeted a couple days ago, make sure to go follow me on Twitter, I'll leave a link in description. An olive branch could be reaching out to you here. I wouldn't be fading it if I were you. Like and subscribe for more content like this. Sign up to Fair Desk with the link in description, and I will see you next time.